Hi everyone, and welcome back to What's New in Creative AI.
Welcome everyone. So today we've got 3 themes we're going to cover. One is, how do we tell how good we actually are with using AI?
2.
What is the financial impact of agencies using AI?
3.
We're going to chat about AI burnout. Is that why we're all knackered?
God, we are knackered.
But
which comes on to a little bit about why it's been a few months since we last recorded one of these, because there has been a lot going on behind the scenes. It turns out 2026 is the year that lots of agencies have decided to actually take AI really seriously, which means Spark has been getting a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
And as a result, we've been building up the team.
We have. So I'll talk about the internal team. So we've got Chris, who's joined on operations.
Yep.
Asta, joined on marketing.
Yep.
James, new CFO.
Money. Important.
Tom, strategy and sales.
Yeah. And then we've got some new coaches as well. So we've got Rob and Simon, who have joined our creative coaching team. We've got 3 people who, we've got Charlotte, Ellie, and Chrissy joining our strategy coaching team. And we've got a couple of people we're looking at joining our leadership program, and we're also exploring an AI for operations stream.
When you say they're joining our cohort of incredible program leaders who work across AI Accelerator.
So these are all people who have done the job for real, have used AI to do the job for real, and are going to help you learn to use AI to do the job for real.
And it's been quite hard finding these people because I have a policy of hiring people always that are better than us.
Yeah, and that we like.
Or, it depends how you look at it.
Yeah,
Anyway, not,
we've also been developing the remote version of our accelerator program. So we're starting to work with some global clients now, which is very exciting. But that means that to be cost effective, we have to be able to deliver our program virtually. So we're investing a lot of time and energy converting our program to deliver well over Teams or Google Meet or what have you. So the team are working quite hard on that at the moment, and we've got our first clients, Avant-Garde and Everland, coming on board next month with Virtual Accelerator, so that's pretty exciting.
It's really exciting. And then who else are we working with
we're working
on normal live in-person accelerator?
Yeah, we're doing lots now. We're working with JKR here in the UK and soon to be with their New York team as well. We're working with Neverland, we're working with PB Creative, we're working with Wham Brands, we're working with Samson May, we're working with Big Group. We have got lots going on.
We've got a couple of workshops coming up with Publicis in their AI festival.
That's right, we're going to be part of the Publicis UK Festival of AI at the end of the month, which is pretty exciting as well. And we're also working with a very prestigious branding agency who we can't drop their name right now.
No, but we are loving working with them.
You know who they are. So that's great. And then we've also got our 6 monthly Spark report coming up.
Oh, yes, we do. So Astra and I have been working on this furiously behind the scenes.
That's what furious looks like.
Sometimes it looks more furious.
Yeah, it does.
But yes, so every 6 months we benchmark where agencies are with AI. This will be our 4th edition, and we're really seeing some quite sharp changes and progress. So it's turning out the word count, we couldn't keep to it. So it's pretty bumper, but don't worry, we're going to have a really good key findings section.
It's going to be a proper thumper when it lands on your desk.
I think so.
Coming out in April?
April. Date TBC, but
So
April.
There you go. It's the most popular download on our website. Get the latest stats in April. We'll trail them on the pod next month.
Exactly that. We will.
Okay. Segment 1, AI fluency.
Yes, let's talk about AI fluency and how we measure it in ourselves. So I wrote about this in the newsletter, I think it was last week. Anthropic, who own Claude.
They're the guys who make Claude.
Claude is a large language model, if you're not familiar with it. So Anthropic have a really brilliant research department, and they did some research analysing the conversations people have with Claude.
10,000 of them.
Yep. It's the first thing I've seen from one of the big AI companies that it has given us a really useful measure of how to assess how good we are at AI, because we don't know whether we're just scratching the surface or going really deep. So this really helps.
So we survey agencies before we work with them to understand where they're at. We get everybody in their team to fill out a short survey so we understand their skill levels, their confidence levels with this stuff. And we find all the time that people overestimate their skill level and confidence level when they're using these tools. Everybody thinks they're a little bit better than they really are. When we go in then to deliver the programs, often we find people are using it in more simplistic ways than their survey results would suggest.
It's natural. We all don't know what we don't know.
For sure. But interestingly, what Anthropic have done is trawled through those 10,000 convos and pulled out the themes that separate sophisticated uses of AI from trivial uses of AI. And they came up with 11 factors that mean that you're using AI in a sophisticated way that allows you to solve complex problems.
Well, you've just reread the report right before we have.
I did another skim just to make sure I was getting all the data right.
Do you want to go through those?
Yeah, there is a ton of stuff in there. So there's 3 big findings, I think, from this really. The first one is that getting away from slot machine use of AI to having valuable conversations and treating AI a little bit like a colleague. That is not only one of the hallmarks of getting good results out of AI, it's also strongly correlated with other good behaviors. So people who were having a conversational interaction with the AI were 6 times more likely to challenge the reasoning of the model and 4 times more likely to spot when there was context missing that meant that it was, that its output wasn't quite on the mark. So moving from beyond that sort of slot machine use where you just sort of ask a question, you get an output, you decide if the output's good or not.
You just take the answer
and then you move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's number 1. Second thing was setting expectations with the AI about the role that you want it to play in. This was another of the biggest indicators. So being clear about, are you asking the AI to be a critic, or are you asking the AI to be a thought partner with you? Are you asking the AI to step you through a process? This is a lot of the stuff that we teach on Accelerator, so it's great to see it pop up here. And then the third one I think is the most interesting one perhaps, and the one that we need to keep an eye on for the future, which is these tools are getting surprisingly good now at producing finished outputs, and Claude is probably the best at this. So it can actually produce pretty convincing Word documents, PowerPoint slides, and Excel sheets now. And the interesting thing that they found from their 10,000 conversations, only about 12% of the conversations resulted in the creation of an actual document like that. But the people who were using it to create documents were more sophisticated in their interactions. They were better at clarifying the goal, they were better at specifying the format, they were better at providing examples of the kind of thing they wanted, and better at challenging the model to explain its rationale. All of those great prompting behaviors, great AI fluency behaviors. But the moment the document was actually created, they were less likely to challenge its results and less likely to actually critically assess the content of the document. The moment we get a polished output, we're a little bit more convinced of it than perhaps when it's just in the chat window.
It's like the power of branding, really, isn't it?
It is a little bit.
But so Anthropic produced an 11-point checklist, and this checklist, we'll put it in the show notes, but it's really brilliant to go through because it helps you sort of tune up where you...
Got it on a little chart there.
Tune up how you can improve how you use AI.
Yeah, and I think, I'm actually just going to read them out because I think they're really useful. So keep a little tally as you're listening. Think to yourself, how regularly do you do this when you interact with AI? If you do all 11, then great. And to be clear, this is when you're attempting to do something relatively complex with AI. Like if you're just redrafting an email, you probably don't need to be doing all 11 of these things. But if
working on collaborating on a work task.
Yeah, but if you're trying to pull together a deck for a workshop, then you probably need to be doing all these things. So, so number 1, iterate and refine. We've talked about that. It's a conversation, not a slot machine. Number 2, clarify your goal. So what's the actual outcome you're trying to achieve? Third, give examples of what good looks like. So show it what you want. Fourth, specify the format and the structure that you're expecting the output to come in. 5, set the interaction mode. How do you want it to behave? Is it a critic? Is it a thinking partner? Is it guiding you through a process? Then, I've lost count of which number I'm on. 6 maybe. 6
I
out of
thought it
11.
was 8.
Communicate your tone and style preferences. So describing the language that you want it to use. The next one, identifying when the AI might not have enough context. So when it's having to make assumptions because you didn't give it enough information. Next is defining the audience for that output. So who's this going to? Then challenging the reasoning of the AI, so questioning some of its logic. Then consulting the AI on its approach before you go into execution. So
getting it to explain its methodology.
Yeah, coming up with a plan before you press the button. And finally, fact-checking things where it's appropriate and where it's necessary. So I think that's a really good 11-point checklist. Think about how often you do those things and how often some of your team do those things when they're using AI for complex knowledge work.
Yeah, it's a helpful thing, I think, to send around your team. I wouldn't use it as something to get everyone to score themselves on and feedback publicly, but it's a helpful nudge.
No prompt shaming.
No,
but,
exactly.
But have maybe a little checklist that you could print out and stick on everybody's desk.
And it's a much more effective way of understanding where you are as a business with AI than what Accenture said they were doing a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, which was... So they started putting AI use as a kind of performance objective in their particularly, I think, partners and senior team.
Yeah, they're trying to drive AI adoption in their business, just like lots of you are.
So they're putting in their performance appraisals.
Which, if you do it the right way, is something we recommend.
It's a good thing to do. But they're just using a really blunt instrument of just like how often they're logging into an AI tool. And that's like, well, you've got like... what are they doing once they're in there?
Yeah, now I used to work at Accenture way back in the distant past, and we always used to have a mantra which was that you get what you measure. So if you measure how often people log into AI tools, all you'll know is how often they log in. And you know what? Everyone will just log in at the beginning of the day, whether they use it or not, just to hit their metrics. So won't tell you anything about whether they're actually using these tools in a responsible and sophisticated way to get real work done. So
yeah,
come on, Accenture, you can do better than that.
I'm sure they are behind the scenes. But
Segment 2.
Segment 2, but before we move on to segment 2, I'm going to put that...
Jump the gun.
Just to say, the checklist is going to be in the show notes. So you don't have to memorise it.
Down below.
Yep.
We'll link to the whole Anthropic report.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Exactly.
It's got a chart. Okay, segment 2.
Right. You're introducing this one.
Okay, yeah, it says Jules sets it up right at the start. So what do the data say around AI and agency performance? So this is something that we get a lot when talking with our clients, which is, what's the ROI on all this stuff? I'm spending a bunch of money rolling out licenses to my team. What difference is it really going to make to the performance of my business? I had a great chat with Rory Spence.
Well, it was a webinar, isn't it?
Yeah, so exactly, it's a chat.
Yeah.
Chat, but he was online, I was online, we chatted.
And we broadcast it.
And we recorded it and we sent it to everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was still a chat.
What I mean is people can catch up on it.
Right.
Yes.
In the show notes.
Yes, also in the show notes.
Okay, so I had a chat with Rory Spence, who is the Chief Commercial Officer at the WOW company. If you've not come across WOW, they are an accountancy and financial advisory firm specifically targeted at agencies and consulting businesses, and with businesses with more than £1 million turnover. So they don't deal with micro businesses, just those that are sort of on the growth path. And interestingly, they run a very deep, thorough survey every year called Bench Press.
Many of you will have heard of, I'm sure.
Yeah, where they survey hundreds of businesses, hundreds of agencies, and slice the data in lots of interesting ways. And obviously they've got lots of historical data. They've been doing it a few years now, got lots of historical data to compare trends about. So we joined forces. We do a lot of survey data as well. You heard about the Spark report a moment ago. So what are we seeing in the Spark report? What are they seeing in this year's Bench Press? We've both got new versions of our reports coming out in the next few weeks. Where were we seeing some synergies? What was the data telling us about AI and its impact on agency financials?
Should I tell you some things that jumped out of me from when I was watching that conversation?
Yeah.
So, firstly, Rory trailed a few of the early findings. So, it'd be interesting. I think more responses came in after when we recorded and the sort of drop dead date for the survey. But one thing he said was like 1 in 5 agency leaders still see AI as a distraction.
Yeah, I was a little bit. I was quite surprised by that. I totally get that it can be time-consuming and take a lot of headspace. But a distraction, I would say. I think 2024. I think you could probably get away with that. 2025, I think that was perhaps a slightly foolish stance to take. In 2026, I don't think that's a very sensible position to be in at all anymore.
Yeah, agreed. So then the second thing that jumped out at me was that agencies that embedded AI in client delivery and in operations grew faster than those who were only using AI in sales and marketing.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because we very much focus on upskilling and embedding AI in client-facing teams. So client service teams, strategy teams, creative teams, and the leadership teams that obviously manage all of that. And we often get asked, what about new biz and business development? Obviously, keeping a healthy pipeline is one of the most important things that leadership teams can focus on.
And there are some brilliant AI use cases.
And there are some.
Yeah.
We don't have a program specifically around that yet. But it's interesting that actually we are focusing on the right stuff because actually there is more impact on financial performance if you focus on client-facing work first.
Yeah, exactly. And then...
we talked about margins.
We did talk. Did you want to talk about that? I wasn't going to.
Oh, okay.
But yes,
fine.
Let's talk about margins.
One of the fears that many of us all have is that AI, will erode your pricing power. It starts to automate some kinds of work, or certainly make some kinds of work quicker and easier.
That you can't charge much for. And
yeah, I mean, think about desk research right now, right? These tools have been ever since the deep research functionality in ChatGPT and Gemini dropped about a year ago. That has got a lot faster. You're able to cover more ground and do research a lot more thoroughly in a much shorter amount of time. So there comes a point where you're not able to charge as much for that stuff anymore, right? And your client maybe is going to do some of the research before the brief even hits your desk. So, but that isn't the whole story. It's actually a little more nuanced than that. And we certainly know of examples of agencies that have lent hard into AI to create capabilities which are hard for others to match, where they actually have quite strong pricing power and actually are having bigger margins than they have on some of their traditional work. Great example from us is when we were out at Cannes last summer, we were talking with with a production company that did filming all across Europe. A lot of traditional filming still. They had crews going out, making brand films and TVCs. But they also had 16 AI artists in the studio as well. And this was last summer, so it's probably more than that now. And they were finding that although their AI-only productions were 1/3 of the cost of a traditional production, they actually made more margin on them because not many people had sophisticated skills at creating high-quality AI video outputs. They actually were able to charge pretty good rates for it. So, worth bearing in mind.
Yeah. The other thing that really stuck with me after your conversation with Rory was about valuations.
Right.
So for anyone looking for exit or investment, which a lot of us do have our eyes on, AI maturity is just like firmly on the due diligence checklist now. Yeah,
so being able to demonstrate that you've taken AI seriously and embedded it in your agency's ways of working is a really strong way to support the valuation of your business. So how can you actually evidence that? Firstly, making sure that you have a strong AI policy, that you have an AI manifesto to speak to clients about, and that you've then reflected that in the terms and conditions and contracts that you sign with your clients. Only about a quarter of agencies so far have actually done that. So if you haven't done that yet, definitely look at doing that to show that you have a serious approach to how you take this stuff. Secondly, they look at, what AI infrastructure have you actually got in your business? Have you built out custom GPTs, Gemini Gems, Copilot agents to support the ways that your team work? Or is this all just stuff in your head or in your team's heads where, Sarah's good at prompting, but Bob's not? Yeah. If you've built out that permanent infrastructure that is bigger than one person, that's also a great way to show that you've really done this stuff.
And Rory was saying that some acquirers are now using AI immaturity as a negotiation lever on the flip side of it. So that really, it's really making a difference now.
Yeah, exactly.
Those were my core things that stood out. Did you have anything else?
Yeah, I think the innovation thing is really important here as well.
What do you mean by that?
So, it's great to embed AI on your workflow, get a bit faster and a bit better at most of the things that you do, but AI also unlocks ways to do things differently. And this is something we really push in our leadership programs is don't just think about faster and cheaper, think about different. And great example of that with one of the agencies we've worked with was using these tools to explore customer personas. You do a lot of audience research as an agency, trying to work out how the work you're going to do is going to land with your target audiences. And those customer personas often live as PowerPoint slides or Word docs, rich descriptions of who these people are and what their buying motivations might be. But what if you could actually bring those things to life? Well, these AI tools let you do that now to some extent. You can create using Canvas mode in Gemini or using artifacts in Claude. You can actually now spin up little websites or little interactive experiences that allow your client to explore the trade-offs that their customers are making in real time. And what a brilliant way to bring a workshop to life and add value in a way that no other agency will be doing.
So much more interactive.
Yeah. So there we go. So AI adoption is an operating model problem, not a software problem. That's what it says here. There you go. But yeah,
that might be one of our core messages.
Yeah, but it is about how you sort of wire this stuff into the way that you work, really.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than just buying the licenses and rolling out the tools.
Cool. Third and final section for
Segment
today.
3, burnout.
We're going to talk, So that's quite a way to end a podcast, isn't it? On burnout. But so what we're seeing, and you might be seeing this too yourself or with your teams, AI can save time. But because it also opens up so many possibilities, you can do so many more things that were just sort of like time inhibited, or like there were lots of reasons why you couldn't do them before, but now you can with AI. That means the possibilities can be exhausting because you just go down rabbit holes all the time. You fill that extra time. And Ethan Mollick brought my attention to a research study by Harvard Business Review.
Yeah, so if you don't follow Ethan Mollick on LinkedIn, he's a professor of entrepreneurship at Wharton Business School.
Definitely follow him. If there's one person you follow,
he's really insightful about the capabilities of AI models and how they're evolving and how it affects the world of work.
And his LinkedIn posts are very short.
Yeah, really good. He posts once a day, but they're always gold dust. Definitely follow him. He was talking about Harvard Business Review, who published a study done by the University of California, Berkeley, which is one of the world's leading business schools. A lot of academic stuff going on there.
A lot of credentials there.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting there. We're getting to the point, I promise. They studied a 200-person company over a period of about 8 months.
Yeah.
They looked at how people were using AI. And the people those natural enthusiasts who lent into this stuff and, started powering ahead with AI.
We all know them.
Yeah, you've got a few in your business, I'm sure. They found that their productivity increased. Yay. They took on more stuff and got more stuff done. Also, yay. But they also started working expanded hours when nobody had asked them to, and were more likely to show signs of fatigue and burnout.
Jules, is this why we're recording this on a Sunday?
And why I was up to my eyeballs in Claude Cowork this morning. Yes. Because these tools allow you to take on more stuff and allow you to get more stuff done, some people find they just keep ploughing on and don't necessarily take a break when they should take a break. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye out for that amongst your own teams.
As Ethan Mollick was saying, you then get to sort of one of two potentially bad outcomes. Either you get like poor results coming out, just
people are just churning out outputs without maintaining the quality.
Because they can produce so much, you just sort of...
Yeah. And I'm sure you've had this from one of your team when they've forwarded you the work that they've done and it's a 17-page document when it could have been one. Yeah. So
that's one way it can go. The other way is the burnout way, where people are like refining and getting great outputs, but they've just become obsessive about it and are trying to do too much, too many hours.
So what are some behaviors you can start to put in your agency to kind of keep this stuff in check a little bit? Well, one is kind of time box AI use. And by that I mean, get people to just step back after you've been 20 minutes down the rabbit hole with ChatGPT or Claude. Just step back and just say, am I actually solving the problem I started out to fix? Because we've all been there. It's very easy to spend 2 hours on one of these tools and realize you haven't actually achieved the thing that you set out to do. So stay focused on your goal and remember to step back and assess whether it's helping or not. The second thing, and I think this is really important, we go into agencies all the time and we see leadership teams that wish that their teams were doing more with AI. Sometimes they're a little frustrated that AI adoption hasn't gone beyond a few early adopters. And then we ask them, well, how much time do you let people carve out to work out how to apply these tools to their work and build AI assistants and other things? And the answer is nearly always 0. And you kind of think, well,
so
when do you think this stuff is going to happen, right? So if you want AI to be part of people's roles, make it part of their day job. That means it happens during normal working hours.
Definitely not side of desk.
Yeah, you've got to carve out the time for it. Yeah. And, an hour a week is 2.5% of a typical person's work time, 40 hours. And if you think that AI adoption is worth 2.5% of your agency's time, then make that 2.5% available to people in the 9 to 5.
Whew. Lecture over. I think we've still got some more tips here.
Oh, shall I drop another one?
Yeah.
Okay, go on then. I think the other thing that's really important then is maintaining a quality bar and being very clear about what a finished job looks like. As we've seen, the tools are getting competent enough now to start churning out pretty convincing Word documents and PowerPoint slides. That doesn't mean that the output is good enough. So make sure your team know that the quality bar still sits with them. Just because Claude turned out 15 pages for them doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, they can't hand over responsibility to Claude or Gemini or Copilot or
exactly.
whoever.
So that's one to watch out for, and definitely ones for your senior team to be making sure is fed down to their juniors. So so that's wrapping up on AI burnout. So just because you can do more doesn't mean you always should.
Yeah, so look out for it in your teams. It can really easily, quickly happen. So, yeah.
Right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's do that. What are we wrapping it up with?
Well, it says,
check my notes.
It says, keep it natural, don't just read a list of takeaways.
Okay, let's not do that.
God, that's a tough instruction, isn't it?
I was going to list the takeaways. I'm throwing now.
Our own notes say don't do that.
And then we listed them below.
Yeah. So let's just list some takeaways, shall we?
Okay. So AI fluency is not just about using AI, it's about how you use it.
Yeah, so look for the 11-point Anthropic checklist. Make a little note of how often you do that for complex work.
Mm-hmm. You going to say the next one?
Oh, okay.
I will. No, okay. Everything we talked about today really is about leadership leading the way and providing the roadmap, the framework for their teams. It's not about just buying a technology tool.
There you go. That was a good thread to wrap it up on, not just a list of takeaways. So I think, just to follow that up, I think what's quite interesting, we often go into teams where leadership teams are a little frustrated, as I mentioned before, a little disappointed that their teams aren't doing more with AI, and then we ask them what they're doing with AI. And often the answer is not much. They're frustrated their team aren't building out custom GPTs to support their workflow, and we ask them, well, when did you last build a custom GPT? And they've never built one themselves. So, lead from the front. If you're expecting your team to use these tools in sophisticated ways, learn to use them in sophisticated ways yourself and model that behavior.
Yeah, great note to finish on. So we will be back definitely next month. We are not leaving it 4 months this time.
We'll be back in April.
Yeah, probably with results from the Spark report.
In the meantime, if you're not signed up to our newsletter already, Spark Intelligence, it drops every 2 weeks. You get a sneak peek of what's coming up on the pod.
We do.
And
also, we're going to be at Well Company's Bench Press Live. Catch us there. Well, and then the day after that, we're going to be at Agency Hackers Robots Are Coming.
I'm giving a talk at Robots Are Coming. See you
Before
there.
that, you're going to Bangkok.
I'm going to be at the Network One's Independent Agency Summit in Bangkok.
Any others? I think that's it.
There's a lot going on.
We'd love to see you at any of those. Just drop us a line. We'll grab a coffee.
See you there.
Bye.